nobody will never know how that felt but you. I'm telling you the truth. As many women that are battered and men that are battered and many people that are hurt on this world, and we have the same problem, but nobody will never feel that beat like you feel it, even though they have the same problem. They'll never know what it was like in that moment when you were fearful, when you were scared for your life. They will never know that feeling. They know of it, but each person feels differently. So instead of blaming, just find a way to just say, Lord, help me to heal. Help me to focus on a better life. Help me to see where I messed up, and help me to endure these consequences now that I have to face. If you was in a good relationship and you got caught cheating, you got to face those consequences that woman or that man left you because you was cheating. You wasn't doing better. And find the opportunity in that. Even in that, it's opportunity for you to grow up, for you to man up, woman up, mature. Amen. Plan better and learn to live within your means. People with loser mentality, they do not care how they spend money because they already like, well, I ain't got it now anyway. I might as well get what I can get. No, don't do that. Don't dig yourself further in the hole. Start paying those bills on time. Start living within your means. If you can't afford something, or you can't take a trip with them, with the family or friends that's always wanting to go somewhere, then just be honest. Don't try to keep up with people and lose who you are and lose what little bit you do have. Instead, take that little bit and start building on it. Okay, so I'm going to give y'all this right quick before I get ready to end. But 4 excuses that people with a fixed mindset make. And that's the fixed mindset is the main thing. I think actually the loser mentality comes up under the fixed mindset. And there's several different avenues that we could talk about when it comes down to a fixed mindset. But tonight I just wanted to cover that one with the loser mentality. Okay, so 4 excuses that people will make with a fixed mindset is, and when they make these excuses, it often leads to bad excuses. Bad choices. I'm sorry, y'all. I can't read my writing. Okay, so the first one is, an excuse that people always say is, that's just me. Every time that you begin to say that that's just me, you reinforce the fact that you don't want to change. If you keep using that every time something comes up, eventually you're going to be in a position where you will not be able to change because you'll be so far programmed that you won't want to change, and you will feel like that's your way of life. Some people become hard-hearted like that. So saying that's just me, all you're doing is reinforcing the fact that you don't want to change. And if you want to change, you can change. The second thing is, I've always been that way. Truth is, you haven't always been that way. And the reason why you haven't always been that way, because the majority of the things that we do now is what? Things that we have learned. Learned behavior. When we was born, we didn't know how to do hardly nothing. This is stuff that we learned. We learned how to work technology. We learned how to talk on the phone. We learned how to cook on the stove. So anything that you have learned that is negative, you can unlearn it. So just because you've always been that way, it's never too late to change. If you want to change, it can happen. And most of the time when people say that, I've always been that way, that's really just an excuse because they have a negative attitude. So you automatically know you're not going to get anything good out of them because they're already fixed. They're in that fixed mindset. If that's you on tonight, I pray for God to release that fixed mindset in the mighty name of Jesus. Amen. Okay. The third thing is I can't help it. Oh, my God. I think that was mine. That was mine all the time. I can't help it. I want to use my weight for everything. Because y'all, I am plus size, and I want to use my weight for everything. I can't do this because of my size. I can't do that because of my size. I just I always say I can't help it. But the truth is, you can help it, because if you're having a problem with your weight, you can start eating the right foods and start moving a little bit at a time in your chair. You don't have to move like huff and huff and huff till you knock yourself out, but you can do a little bit at a time. Let me tell you something. Anytime you step out on faith, every little step is a progress. Every little step is that much closer to where you need to be. So even if you got to take small steps, you can help it. So that's the third thing. I can't help it. That's just reinforcing your willingness to not change. It's keeping you bound by your habits. You hear that? Bound and chained by your habits. You're not going to break every chain if you don't change your habits. Those chains aren't going to break. You cannot sit around and think you're going to lose weight eating the same food. So you got to look at your life. If you want to now have a winning mentality, you got to step up and act like a winner. You got to start acting like one with your little steps, but big impact. Okay? The fourth thing is, that's just my nature. Oh, God, the oldest folks used to kill me with that one. That's just my nature. It doesn't have to be. You can change your nature. I don't care what you grew up with. You can change it anytime you want to. I grew up around a lot of drugs and alcohol, and I was even an alcoholic at one time, but I am no longer an alcoholic. And I don't even feel bad that I gave that lifestyle up. So it can change. It doesn't have to be your nature. Basically, there is power in positive thinking. There is power in positive speaking. If you're not speaking over your life and you're not speaking things into your existence, then you're going to continue to stay with this fixed mindset. You have power. You have to remind yourself. You have to remind yourself. It was a time when David wasn't around nobody else. He had to encourage himself. When you're at home and nobody else is there to lift you up or give you a quote or pray with you, you have to learn how to speak to yourself and encourage yourself to get up and do it. 2019, don't just sit there and beat yourself up anymore. 2019, do not beat yourself up. Instead, encourage yourself. You got to learn how to escape that fixed mentality, that loser mindset. There is a way of escape. You got to believe that your circumstance can be changed, because it can be changed. I've seen God do too much to believe otherwise. Listen, I tell you what, during the whole time that I was going through this year, I'll tell you what ended up happening. I found opportunity. I found opportunity during the worst time of my life, y'all. Honestly, I got so angry. And sometimes God will allow us to get so angry till it pushes us to the path that we need to be on. I always knew I was funny in a way. I always knew that. I always knew I was a comic in my own way. But I got so angry this year about the things that I could not change that were going on in my life. I said, you know what, but I'm not going to let it steal my joy. So I just started writing, and I started doing my little plus-size grandma podcast. And next thing you know, I came up with these characters. And I just started recording and laughing and speaking in, these different character voices, which I always knew I could do. I've been doing that since a little kid. So it was already a gift within me. Believe me, your circumstances can be changed. It can be changed. The gift in me that I always had came out during the time when I was doing my worst. It came out. When I was a little kid, I always marked my aunts. I could speak like anybody, y'all. I'm telling you the honest truth. I could speak like anybody and act like anybody. And that gift came back. it came back out during the time when I was in my worst time this year. And I was like, wow. And guess what? That gift, not only did it open a door for me for Spotify radio, but it brought in so many fans of my comedy. I was like, oh, my God, I didn't even know that. I didn't even really think people would like it. You know, I was just changing up my voices and doing that. But people loved it. I started getting listeners from places I didn't even know. And then come to find out, listen, this is how God works. I never put a category onto my show, my plus-size grandma. But then whenever I noticed, I said, well, who did this? It was put into the section with blogs and comedy. And I was like, wow, look at God. See, it was in me the whole time. That gift was in me the whole time. But it took getting angry to bring it out. I was angry at the circumstances that I was going through, but I also knew that God was going to deliver me from them. But I had to get to that point. He had to allow me to get to that point where I would get up and do something instead of just sit there in a pity state. See, that's the thing about a loser mindset. They will stay in a pity state for as long as they can because they don't feel like they need to get up. I felt the need to get up. The Holy Spirit was like, girl, get up. And I trusted God the whole way. So believe that your circumstance can be changed. Stop being trapped by your own thoughts. That's what Satan does. He wants you to believe your own thoughts. Your thoughts, not God's thoughts, but your own negative thoughts. You know when you're speaking negative to yourself. Let me just say it like this. Be kind to yourself. Be kind. Be loving to yourself. Because you can only put out what you have on the inside. And if you don't already have that on the inside, then you're not going to be able to put it out for other people either. So be kind to yourself. Stop being trapped by your own thoughts. And the last thing I want to say tonight is do something every day to get you closer to your progress, to get you closer to your goals. Do something every day that's going to require you to use your faith. Don't just let your faith sit there and get tired and wither down. Do something that's going to require you to use your faith, to trust God for those miracles that are not man-made. They're not man-made. Miracles are not man-made. So trust God for that, for it to come in, for him to do the impossible through you. All things are possible through him. And he can use you in a way that you will be like, I never thought this could be me. Do not be so focused on people's opinions of how you think that they feel about you that you actually lose out. Excuse me, y'all, for that. That you actually lose out and get drained and you lose motivation to do the things that you really want to do. I don't care where you're at in life tonight, how many bad breaks that you've had. Those breaks were for a reason. Anytime we go through things that are bad in our life, it's not to tear us down, it's to build us up. If you will allow your situation to build you up and for your strength to come from your situation, you will be surprised the person who you really are. I was surprised this year when I realized that I was more than what I thought I was. You will be surprised who God can mold you into. So that's what I have for y'all tonight, and I'm not assigning any homework because this week and next week is just all about, just going out in 2000 and leaving 2018 just as blessed as can be and looking for the growth in 2019, the love in 2019. God is still able, y'all. He's able to do all things exceedingly and abundantly. And just as Jesus was speaking, O ye of little faith, when you find yourself doubting the things that God has given you to do, remember, those guys could have stopped that wind if they would have just had some faith.